Kaden Elliss is arguably our best defender last year. And yes, even including Jesse Bates. Even amidst the lows and the highs and lows after the bye, he was the only consistent piece on this defense performing. Whether we were using him as a blitzer, and yes, he was even good in coverage, and we already know he was a great run defender. This man, he has a chance to have another breakout season, especially with a coach that knows how to coach linebackers. In a season where he was listed as a Pro Bowl snub, could he possibly be a Pro Bowler next year? Anyways, before we get into the film, I gotta do some chalk talk with y'all so y'all don't get lost when we get to this first part of the video. Let's get on into it. Alright, so I'm still learning like a lot of stuff pass protection wise, but what I can do is tell y'all the basics of it. So as y'all know, we have 5 linemen with the running back. You could also have a tight end sometimes depending on the protection, but in this instance, we just gonna keep the running back in and we're not gonna worry about the tight end. It's just like, assume it's gonna be a spread set where the tight end is right here, okay? At the core of like pass protection, you always want to have these 4 guys accounted for. And then on the second level, this is where you declare the mic. So the mic may not always be the middle linebacker, okay? This could be the mic right here where we ID him as the mic. Okay, we're going to slide this way, right? And then we're going to go man on this side. And the running back will scan from here to there. And so keep in mind that we are sliding this way, correct? So let's say the star comes in the situation and he's going to blitz on the weak side, right? So that means you would have him rushing, you know, the 4 downmen are rushing. He would be blitzing in this hole and we would be hot off of him. That means we can account for him because since we slid this way, he's blitzing off the man side. That means we have to throw hot off of him. And what I mean by throw hot is, like I said right here, say this is just a tight end right here and he blitzes off the slot. He'll probably run like a short, you know, and he'll probably just hook it up, something. That means he's throwing hot off of the blitzer, okay? So let's take it a step further. So pay attention. So we can also, as a defense, we can dictate where the offensive line slides, okay? And you're probably going to see some of this in the film we show. So you can pretty much mug the front where you walk up everybody on the line. But for example, let's just move them out of the way for a minute. Let's just focus on the front. This is what we call a load front, okay? That means we are putting 3 big bodies on one side to force one-on-ones, and we're going to put an edge over here by himself, okay? So we're forcing the offensive line to slide this way because, remember, we want to pick up the big bodies first, all right? So in a situation where the will blitzes and he adds in on this 3-man rush over here, you would have to do a 4-man slide that way, man him up backside, and put the running back on this mic, okay? Now let's put them back on the front where they have to account for these guys now. And we're going to just leave him alone. We're going to put him off to the sides because he's not blitzing. So in the event that these guys blitz, okay, we already know that, or they're rushing, right? Our 4 guys are rushing, okay? And remember, we are using a 4-man slide this way. And even sometimes it could be a 3-man slide where it's just these 3 for those 3 over there too. So let's go either way. It doesn't really matter because look, the way the linebackers are taught in this specific front where they're mugging the gaps, they're both going to initially rush the passer, okay? And it pretty much becomes whichever one he picks, that's who drops back. So say the lineman, he fans out this way. He takes the inside gap. That's what you're taught to do as a lineman. You protect the inside gap first. So he goes that way. So this will drops back into coverage, and the mic has a one-on-one with the running back, right? This is how we use Kaden Elliss. We were trying to get him matched up on running backs because we knew he could run over those running backs and get to the quarterback, okay? Think of a Jalen Walker. Think of Kaden Elliss. Like, these are the guys that are doing this right here. It doesn't have to be necessarily a low front where it could be something like this where they have 2 guys right here outside of the tackle. Somebody right over the nose or right over the center or nose, and they'll probably walk up one of the guys right here, okay? You could force a slide to the left once again, but like that's just the basics. So we can go and get into the film now. So this first one really isn't, you know, talking about dictating where we slide, but for the purpose of the video, they are sliding this way. But I also think based on this front that they're just saying, hey, let's go 5-0, right? That means pretty much big on big. So you get him. And, you know, if he blitzes, you got that guy. You know, that's pretty much how it is. I would say this is more closer to like 200 jet, 300 jet, whatever you want to call it. The initial pass set of the center, usually when you look at, you know, trying to tell where the line is sliding, you look at the center because whichever way he goes first, that's where they're sliding. And he pass set this way, but I think 99 he also, he took his initial rush path that way too. So as we watch this unfold, right, he times up the snap pretty much, right, and he gets that mismatch on that running back, and he stopped him up initially, got him in the air. I don't like it when Kaden does this, where he kind of just jumps in the air, okay, but Grady Jerry, he does enough to where he has to occupy this guy long enough, and he does, and we got the sack right here, okay? We just drafted 2 guys, but moving him to edge really wouldn't take advantage of his skill set because he's better off doing this against running backs rather than, linemen, even though towards the end of the season, they started treating him as an extra defensive lineman, so they were sliding. They weren't sliding this way, but they were actually picking him up in protection with the lineman, okay? And that's how you saw guys like J.D. Bertrand spring free, okay? Which allow, those more one-on-one matchups. And now I think we have those guys that can win those one-on-one matchups. We'll be better off as a pass rush unit because we have him taking up an extra lineman, which is going to allow more one-on-ones across the line, okay? All right, so the little chalk talk that we did earlier, this is actually an example of forcing a slide one way, and we're going to force that one-on-one matchup between the running back, okay? So let's look at it right here. We have 3 defensive linemen on one side of the center. So you can already assume, okay, that they're going to slide this way, right? And you have your 2 linebackers right here, and you have Matthew Judon by himself, right? And remember what I said, you always want to account for the big guys first. You don't want to waste a lineman on a running back, not a running back, but a linebacker. And I also said earlier that over time, as the season progressed, they started treating Kaden like a lineman, okay? But if we're going to look at this real quick, so they bring in a receiver. He's already kind of like, he's in a close split already, so he can chip Matthew Judon and go, all right? But he doesn't. So what I'm going to show you guys here is the way he did his pass set. He's accounting for Troy Anderson first because, once again, you protect that inside gap, okay? Because remember, they're sliding this way, and he has a man assignment. So it's either one of these 2, and then the running back gets the one that's, a free guy, if that makes sense. So he's accounting for Troy because, okay, I got to protect that inside gap. But then he drops back. So he's like, okay, let me go help. And essentially, it's a wasted guy because he's not doing anything. And once again, Kaden, he's going to win this against a running back 9 times out of 10. And I'm glad that he grabbed Sam like this because if he got out of this, I would have been very upset. But as you can see right here, got a somewhat of a free hit, not a free hit, but a free rusher. And Aaron Jones is in the pass protecting running back. And that's how we get a sack. So this rep right here, they're going to motion over Justin Jefferson again. Like, they were motioning this man away from AJ the entire game, man. I'm surprised he got 17 routes. But as you see, based on the motion, Sam Darnold, he cans the play. So that means they're running this concept right here. So this is also a West Coast staple. Matt LaFleur does it. We also did it when we had Kyle Shanahan. It's just a simple drift concept. It's not like the last play I just showed y'all, but it's a play action concept where it's really timing based, where he's running this in cut, but he has to find the hole to settle in. So it might be right out of the break, it might be over here, or it might be near the hash. It's just you have to find that hole to sit in. And then on the backside, you could have a stop route, you could have a fade, you could have a comeback. It doesn't really matter because that's your bailout throw sometimes, or your alert if you have a certain look. But this is also what Kaden Elliss does really well, right? So we watch this play. He cans the play, and they hike it. And watch Kaden Elliss. He turns his body. He gets right in that window because usually they expect, it's so timing based that you're pretty much expecting to hit Justin Jefferson right out of his break, okay? And look at this. This is what I like about it. Let's look at Sam. So like I said, it's so timing based where he hits that back foot right there. He's ready to throw it. He sees Kaden getting up under that. He's like, nah, I can't throw that. So watch, he panics. He looks over there. He's like, okay, let me throw it over here. And by the time he looks over there and tries to set up the throw, the pressure's getting in his face. He gets smacked, and, the ball just dies on him. And usually people quantify good pass coverage by pass breakups, interceptions like that, or stuff like that. But this stuff right here is just as good where you're denying a pass that can't be made. Because if you throw, this is a free interception if he throws that, man. Kaden has gotten better in coverage, and people don't want to admit it because they think he's just this unathletic run defender / blitzer, but he's making strides in coverage as well. And we also have Jeff Ulbrich, who can maximize him as a linebacker. Like, come on, y'all. This man can hit his ceiling next year. All right, so I'm going to show y'all two different point of views. I'm going to show the end zone angle and the all 22 angle. So this right here, they have a fullback running a corner route, okay? Then they're going to have this guy run a drag. Lad McConkey's going to run a trail route. This is getting messy really quickly. We're going to do the dig route first because that's what's getting thrown. And then you have Lad McConkey running a trail route. So this is a drive concept and a trail concept, and it's just two mixed in one. But like, it's a 4x1 formation, funky formation, right? The Chargers, they were doing this all year, where they got these like weird formations, and it created wide open lanes to throw. Okay, and they're doing this out of empty too. So let's look at it. So Kaden Elliss is right here. I want to try to pay attention to two things in this, right? So first thing I want y'all to look at, when this ball is snapped, when he sees the receiver go under, he's pointing at Nate. Hey, he's going under. Check him out. I think, is that Nate or is that Troy? It doesn't really matter. It's the other linebacker right here. He's pointing that out. And he's also getting depth on these other routes because they're pushing vertical. And then once he sees one snap off, he faces the quarterback again because he knows he breaks across the middle. Hey, I can get a free interception. And by the time he threw it, he wasn't really in position to make a play because he was kind of slow to it. But he was able to fake that pass and he got it back. So let's watch it from the end zone angle. Okay, it was Troy Anderson. So look, we're going to watch it again, okay? When this ball is snapped, okay, he's pointing out that under route coming. Okay, shallow. And then once 81 or Will Dissly, whoever that is, once he snaps off inside of him, he makes a play on that ball. And I'm glad he made a play on that. But honestly, if he was more of an athlete, that's probably a pick. Because Justin's not making a play on that. Honestly, if he does, like, he's going to score because Justin couldn't tackle all season. But this is a great play by Kaden because this is good spatial awareness, good communication, all of that, right? His coverage EPA went up for a reason. So as y'all can see right there, that's a good play. So this is what I'm not really comfortable with Kaden doing consistently, but we're going to just talk about it. So what happens for this play, Jalen Hurts, he ends up getting like a 15-yard scramble off of this, and Kaden makes the play on it. But what we're doing here, we're running just a 33 blitz, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, and then you have Troy being on the extra pressure. And like I said, they're doing a 33 blitz. So he has the seam flat, he has a deep third, he has the middle third, JJ has the seam flat right here, and AJ has a deep third. And then Kaden, he has number 3 receiver or the middle hook, right? So usually, I don't think I've said this before in my videos, but when you're running a 33 blitz, like if you look at Madden and you see those, those fire zones where it's like cover 3 on the back end and they're bringing 5 guys, usually it's not supposed to be you're dropping to a spot. You're supposed to match the receiver. And I'm glad, and I'm getting off on a tangent here, but I'm glad college football does it where they're matching releases, because what happens is Dallas Goedert, he's going to run across the formation, or the field rather, and Kaden walls him. He runs with him the entire way. Covey, he's going to run a post corner. Okay, D gets cooked on him, but he was able to get back over there. I don't remember what this guy ran. I don't remember what these two ran, but what I do know is Kaden made this play. All right. So if we watch it play out, you're going to see he's walling him off the middle. And like I said, even though this is a good rep, I'm really not comfortable with Kaden doing this because guys can separate late, as you can see right here. The tight end separated a little bit late in the route. Now, if this was like if they switched it and if it was Kaden and then Troy guarding him, I feel way more better because Troy's more athletic. But nonetheless, this is a very good rep by a guy that you really don't see get the props as a cover guy. Even though he's improved in coverage, people don't want to acknowledge it because he's just so good at the other things. They're like, oh, well, he's probably not he's probably not a good cover guy, because they see him getting picked on. But then you look at the majority of his cover snaps, he's doing stuff like this where he's walling a guy off the middle, or he's shutting down a passing lane, right? Like I said earlier, people quantify if you're a good pass defender or not is because you're getting PBUs or you're locking up a running back in man-to-man coverage. But being a good zone defender, having these spatial awareness, and also being able to get in the way and follow your assignment, things like this, shutting off a first read, is just as important as being a good man-to-man defender. As y'all can see, Kaden Elliss is more than just a blitzer and a run defender. You see that he's able to be competent in pass coverage. And as I mentioned earlier, with him working with Jeff Ulbrich, who's known for maximizing linebackers, I think he can have another career year and be even better than last year. But that's all from me. I enjoyed making this video. I'm really enjoying and I appreciate the growth that I'm getting because this is happening so fast. But anyways, if y'all enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe for more. I do upload Falcons content. See y'all later next video. Goodbye.